Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Today we're going to talk about breaking the cycle of lack of motivation, because you know what? It's easy not to have motivation. It's real easy not to have motivation. And unfortunately, one of the things that we have a propensity toward doing is saying, well, I don't have motivation, therefore I cannot perform. Well, I get that. But you know, it's a trap. Did you know that? This is a trap. When you say I have no motivation, what you're just basically saying is, because this magical motivation that I'm supposed to have isn't there, now I have this incredible excuse. Well, I can't do that. I have no motivation. It's an excuse. That's exactly what motivation is. And I've got some ideas for getting out of all of these things, because it is kind of a mind thing, isn't it? But it's also a catch-all for every single, it's a catch-all for every single excuse that we have. I do it, but I have no amount of motivation. I'm not motivated to clean the kitchen tonight. I'm not motivated to drink my water. I'm not motivated. I'm not motivated. I'm not motivated. You know, all of us have something that we're not motivated about. Maybe instead of saying I'm not motivated, maybe what we really need to do is tell the truth about it, because that's what it is. It's a catch-all for excuses, and it's also kind of a hide behind kind of a thing of what's truly going on. The fact is, you just don't want to do it. The fact is, it's hard stuff. The fact is, it's something that you're not used to doing, and that your brain is going to you and saying, in any way that it can, let's find an excuse, because that's risky. Your amygdala likes to keep you doing the very same thing. It doesn't want you to upgrade. It doesn't. It doesn't even. As much pain as you might be in, and as much whatever, let's have the potatoes. Let's have that pasta. Oh, the garlic bread. Well, they make the best garlic bread here. How can you say no to that? And on it goes. We have these conversations with ourselves, and then we're hiding behind this screen of motivation. No motivation. No motivation. So it's a catch-all for staying on the couch. It's a catch-all for not eating the way we know we should be eating, because it makes us feel better. It's a catch-all for doing all the things that require some kind of movement, because motivation always requires some kind of an action. It's something that doesn't just happen. It's something that happens when you move. Suddenly the motivation starts to come. I'll give you some examples in a minute. But first of all, I want to we're going to go into the why framework about this and talk about this a little bit, because I think the why framework is one of the most helpful tools that you can have. But secondarily, we've got to also be in this place of questioning ourselves. We question everybody else, don't we? We question our friend. What do you mean by that? We question our spouses. You said that in a weird tone. What did you mean by that? We question our kids. Are you telling me the truth? We question everyone except ourselves. We question our boss's motives. We question the dog. We question everything except ourselves. We don't get into what ourselves, we just accept whatever it is that we think. And that's a trap, because our amygdala is always going to go the extra mile to keep us safe, to keep us secure, to make sure that we're not doing the actual things that we really want to be doing, so that we can have the vibrant life that we want to have. This is the trap right there. So if the quality of our lives are based on the quality of the questions that we're asking ourselves, we need to start asking ourselves better questions. What do you think of that? How about that? Some better questions. So the lack of motivation, as we say, is really an excuse. What we need to do and how we need to get out of it is start with the why. Why don't I want to work out? Why don't I want to eat healthier? Why don't I want to go do these things? This requires something of you. It doesn't give you a pass anymore. It says to you, okay, I'm calling you on this. What's up? Why aren't you doing this? I do this with my coaching clients all the time, by the way. And when they say, this is something, well, I can't, and this, whatever. And I say, okay, so why? And then why? And then why again? Because hidden underneath all of that stuff is a true answer. You know what? I'm exhausted. You know what? Really, underneath it all, I just don't want to. It's not fun. It's painful. It's this or it's that. But you said, and then you go back, you keep going. But you said you wanted this kind, you wanted to be fit. Then you're going to have to do something that fit people do. Fit people work out. You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. And this is something we know intellectually, but we need to go down on a more visceral, granular level and say, you know what? That's true. So once we get the why framework going and we keep asking those why questions until we really dig in and get it, you can do this with anything, by the way. Why don't you want to do your work? Why do you want to just sit there do Netflix all day? Why do you want to not get off the couch? Why? And you keep asking those questions, you're going to dig out an answer that's telling you exactly what's going on. And it's cool. You can say, I just freaking don't want to. I don't like how I feel when I XYZ. I don't like having to make all that healthy food. I don't like this. Whatever it is, cool. Now that you've done that, can you make peace with it so that you can move on? That's your last question. Can you? Are you willing to spend the time to get what it is that you want? Because what happens with a lack of plan and a lack of preparation is leaves us always shooting from the hip and living life as perpetual Groundhog Day. Same old thing happening over and over again, not going anywhere, frustrated, and just thinking, well, maybe it's just not for me. What's not for you is why it's not for you is because you haven't bothered to dig. If we dig, we can find these things. If we dig, we can find out what in the heck is going on with us. If we dig, we can find our own answers because it's always an individual thing. But, I'm going to give you beyond the framework, there's another thing that you can do, and it's super easy. Are you ready for it? I found this in a book, oh heavens, it's called Tiny Habits. And I know this guy, I saw him, I've seen him several times speak, he's fabulous, and I can't think of his name right now, of course I can't. But it's called Tiny Habits, BJ Fogg, that's his name. He's a professor, super smart guy, think tanker type of a dude, really great. In Tiny Habits, he said, just do one thing. He'll do to the thing that where you got your workout clothes on, he'll have you put on a sock. And I'm thinking, okay, that's really tiny, but I'm thinking instead of just putting on the sock, put on the clothes. Just put on the clothes. I'm calling it putting on your costume. What does your child do when they put on their Superman cape or whatever? They fly around the house being that thing, right? When your child is dressed in a costume, they start acting out on who they are. If we put on our costumes, we're going to maybe walk up to that treadmill, walk up to those weights, and start to do the thing. But your only requirement is just put the clothes on. Just one little thing. Just do something small, because that is showing up. Just that simple. When we show up, then we think, all right, well, I've already done. The hardest part is putting the clothes on. The hardest part is getting in the car to go to the gym or whatever. The hardest part is just doing those one little things. When we do the one little thing, now we're already in costume. We might as well do the thing. That's how this whole thing works. So this is how we find our motivation. We just show up. That's the only thing we have to do. And I'll tell you, I don't know of anybody, but if you just made a deal with yourself that all you have to do is put on your exercise clothes and show up, and then you decide not to, you've at least done that, right? Maybe the next day you'll decide, well, I'll just do 5 minutes on the elliptical or whatever. I'll just do whatever. But just these little things, it's just playing with ourselves a little bit. It's also giving our amygdala a moment to calm down, because our amygdala is, not really helpful. That's our monkey brain, honestly. Not real helpful. So this is what's going to help you out so much, is just showing up, that little teeny bit of showing up, not making this great big plan for an hour's worth of workout or anything like that. No, not at all. Just showing up with your costume on. Boom. How about that? I mean, how easy is that? So you find the answer when you cut out the excuses. We all know that, right? You find the answer when you cut out the excuses. And if you just show up, you have done your part. And at that point, you can make a decision. I'm going to get back in my car and drive home. I'm going to do 5 minutes of this, or I'm going to do whatever. Show up. But show up. That's your only thing. That's the only deal that you make. It makes all the difference in the world. Otherwise, what happens? We find ourselves in the frustration of being on that carousel of crazy. And think about the carousel of crazy, right? It's an illusion. It's moving. It's going up and down, but it's going nowhere. And the up and down, that could be your weight. The up and down, that could be your mood. The up and down, that could be, I'm on it. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. That's what it is. And it's going nowhere. To get off the carousel of crazy, we've got to flip our thinking. Our thinking is the thing that directs what it is that we're going to do for the day. It directs whether or not we're going to be frustrated and wishing we had done better, or it's going to be if we are in that place of being mindful and deciding for ourselves that we are going to be that woman who asks the questions. We are going to be that woman who shows up, because when we show up, we get the answers, So, this is decision making right here is what it is. And when you make a new decision, that all I'm going to do is show up. That's it. You're calming your amygdala down. You're making it an easy bridge type, easy thing to do. You're not saying, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lift weights for an hour and I'm going to sweat and I'm going to baby burn and do all those things. No, you're just saying, all I have to do is show up. That's it. That is it. Put on my costume, show up. It's like going trick-or-treating, That's it. So to make better proactive decisions, you got to light your life on fire. And you light it on fire by starting with the why framework and then starting with the all I need to do is show up. This is how we break the cycle of no motivation. Because no motivation is just an excuse, and it's a shell. It's an empty shell. It's a trap. It's a trap to hold you back. Well, I can't do that. I have no motivation. Well, I can't be that or be like this person or do like she does. I have no motivation. So those are the two imperatives. That's how we get back with it. We show up just to show up. And then secondarily, we do ask the why framework of going and digging, because the digging is what's going to get us to our own answer. And I'm going to just want to emphasize this. Your answer is different than mine and different than your sister's in the Hot Melt Sprint group. You know why? Because you're uniquely you. And your stuff is different than mine. Everybody's is different. So asking for, fix it for me, blanket, whatever, it's a one-size-fits-all thing that's never worked, ever. Haven't you noticed that? There's a lot of people, we're putting out like what people are eating and everything like that. And they're saying, you know what? Oh, I love those chicken livers. Do you? You love chicken livers. I do not. We have different tastes. Same here with this stuff. That's why the why framework is so imperative. It's going to help you to do something different. It's going to help you to dig and find your little piece, your little light that's going to make you say, aha. And if you just add that, couple that with showing up, the light switches are going to keep going off. And little by little, you're going to change this little thing, that little thing. Throw a little planning and preparation in there, and bam, who's on fire now? You are. You are. It's time to get off the carousel of crazy. The carousel of crazy has no motivation. It doesn't need it. It goes nowhere, right? Motivation means we want to get somewhere. We want to do something different. We want to have something different in our lives. Is it time to get off the carousel of crazy? Yeah. Is it time to crush the sprint this time? Absolutely. Or you can just give up, after day 3 or whatever and say, oh my gosh, couldn't do it because I had all these, excuses. Couldn't do it because this came up or that came up. I'm going to tell you right now, if you want something different in your life, it's time to step up and into the life you want to lead. We use these 2 things, the why framework, absolutely, and that tiny little step of just showing up, and watch what happens. Watch how you light your life on fire. Watch how things just start to add we get some momentum going. Motivation plus momentum, what does that equal? Magic. And it's all available to you. Just flip the switch. Think a little differently about these things and let go of the excuses. They have done nothing for you. Big fat 0. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Peace be with you. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.